I really like that it's a platform where users are building games. In that sense, they're building the YouTube of video games.
BitSwap is the hottest new way to trade tokens. Crawling all the top decentralized exchanges, BitSwap gets you the very best price and value for your trades. BitSwap is changing the game. Try it now at bitswapdex.io. Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, the largest crypto channel in all the interwebs. My name is Ben. Every day on this channel, I show you how to make money in cryptocurrency. If you like money and crypto, make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Guys, it's Friday, which means it's Stonks Day. Today, we're going to bring back on Justin from A Couple Cents on YouTube to discuss a lot of issues, including the Coinbase IPO. Will the value of Tesla go up based upon their Bitcoin announcement this week? Does Roblox have a good chance to be a successful stock? And then at the end, he's going to be giving us a very interesting stock pick to add to our portfolios. Now, if you are interested in signing up for Webull, where we do our stock trading right now, you guys can go to bitboycrypto.com/deals and sign up for Webull and get 2 free stocks, 1 for signing up and then 1 for depositing some money. So, all right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the interview. All right, guys, today, once again, I'm joined by Justin from A Couple Cents YouTube channel. You guys got to check out his YouTube channel. He talks a lot about stocks. He's also, into crypto. So it's definitely a good source to get some information. You guys, make sure to subscribe to him. Justin, Friday is Stonks Day. Welcome to the channel today. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get started with Coinbase and the IPO. This week, it was announced that they would basically be, pushing that back to April. And it's going to be a direct listing. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about what a direct listing means?
Yeah, absolutely. So just kind of in summary, a regular IPO, you have to go through a very, very rigorous and detailed IPO process. You have to file a long S-1 filing with the SEC. You have to go on a long roadshow and basically secure a bunch of institutional anchor investors. There's a long process, a lot of eyes on your company, researching your company, understanding your company, and getting comfortable with buying and allocating a lot of money to you day one. Now, with the direct listing, it's still a way to go public and get your shares to go public, but you basically just start listing the shares and instead of the price being set by institutional investors and where they're willing to buy into your IPO price at, and the price being set by bankers. I mean, you have a reference price kind of initially, but then you basically just start putting your shares out to trade, and the market will determine the first day what the correct price of your stock is. Gotcha. So that's why you'll see direct listing stocks the first day. Usually, this is a relatively new phenomenon. They'll start, the stock price will whipsaw a lot more, usually a lot more than kind of a normal IPO process.
Yeah, and so it was reported this week that Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, that he has approximately $14 billion worth of shares. And that's a lot of money, of course. But, to my understanding, the direct listing allows him to pretty much be able to sell all those immediately. Is that correct?
It does seem like there is no share lockup. So I guess technically he could sell all 14 billion immediately. Now, I don't think he would do that. And just the way that corporate governance usually works is there's a board of directors, and they would just probably not allow him to do that because, one, if you list 1% of the shares day one, and then you just flood the market with 14% of the shares, it's going to drive the stock price down like a lot. And also, the board will probably not allow him to be CEO of the company.
That's what I was
He sells all his shares.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. The question is, I know you're in crypto, you pay attention to Bitcoin. I know you got a lot of Bitcoin in your portfolio. And the question is, will it be advantageous for the Coinbase IPO if the price of Bitcoin is going up as opposed to down when it lists? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, so I would say it's unequivocally Coinbase is worth more the better crypto is doing. Yeah. Because the more valuable crypto is, the more value, US dollar value, is going through Coinbase every single day and being traded, which means the higher the value of the commissions that they are taking. So it's crazy, right? On Coinbase's commissions, they're taking, I think it's like 5-6% for people that just use the regular app.
Yeah.
And If you use Coinbase Pro, like I have in the past, it's like 50 basis points, right? It's like 0.5%, which is much more palatable. But absolutely. And in terms of them being able to pump the price of Bitcoin in anticipation, which I think there's a lot of conspiracy theory there. They will have auditors. So they would, if they did that, they would run some risks, fraudulent types of risks.
Yeah.
I'm not really quite sure what the laws are there, right? Because it's a little bit iffy.
It's murky. It's murky.
I don't think we've ever had a brokerage / exchange, right? Because in usually for stocks or like bonds, there are brokerages that are separate from exchanges. So like the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ are exchanges, and the NASDAQ is publicly traded. So maybe that's the right correlation. Is the NASDAQ doesn't really have like the big power to like pump up the stock of Apple before they go public, right? So, right. But do you think that Coinbase can pump up artificially the price of Bitcoin themselves?
Absolutely. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's just, and I can't remember who I was talking about. We were going to talk about, or I think next week on a video I'm going to do, we're going to talk about why crypto is so easily manipulated, and Bitcoin too. It's just because it has to do with the size of the market. Like, Bank of America just did that report where they said it only takes $93 million to move the price of Bitcoin 1%. And a lot of that has to do with a lot of cryptos trade on leverage. And so there's not really like a $1-to-$1 in the market cap. There's not literally $1 trillion in Bitcoin when it's hovering around that market cap. A lot of that's on leverage and IOUs and derivatives. So it doesn't take as much as you would think to move the market. And so, I believe they can. I believe that they will. Now, are they going to do it very obviously? No, roundabout ways. It's going to be good for them if Bitcoin is on the way up. So it might just be as simple as maybe they have some short positions in some places and they remove it, and then that could kind of free up maybe some movement. I think we are going to see, I believe the conspiracy. I think the April.
Yeah, but I would say just to play devil's advocate, right? They need to show earnings or sales or sales commissions, right? Or commission sales for a year, right? So what I'm looking at is Coinbase, I think, is like last time I checked, they're doing like $1 billion in revenues.
Yes.
And they're going public for like $100 billion valuation. So so you're buying, that should show you how I feel about the stock right now. It's like you're buying at 100 times revenues. Yeah. That's ridiculous. Yeah. And so what I would say is they would have to manipulate, in order to move the needle on their $1 billion in revenues, they would have to manipulate the price of Bitcoin for like the course of the year.
I see. In
order for me to be like, oh, now they have 1.5 billion, right? So if they increase the price of Bitcoin 50%, that's a Herculean task, right? Right. The volume the last 24 hours of Bitcoin was $61 billion. That would require a lot of money to do over a full year, and they would only increase the revenues from 1 billion to 1.5 billion. So I'm not really sure if the incentive is there, but I can see how they could absolutely kind of manipulate. They have the power, I believe, too.
Yeah. And look, I mean, just because they have the power doesn't mean that they're going to do it for sure. I just think, they've been in trouble before. They just got in trouble for wash trading, and they had to pay, I think it was a $6 million fine for that. So they have some history there. So, but then again, the devil's advocate is they could be getting watched a little closer right now because of all this stuff. I'm sure they are. But in general, I like Coinbase. I think the Coinbase IPO is going to go well. I'm not going to get in it at the beginning. I'm going to wait and see what happens, and eventually I'll add it to my portfolio. But let's talk about Tesla really quick, because Tesla this week announced that they're accepting Bitcoin. And from the stock perspective, I'm really interested to hear your opinion on, do you think that will actually increase the Tesla stock price? Because, I mean, Bitcoin is a pretty good asset to add to your balance sheet that should pay off favorably. And it already is. What's the effect you think that could have on the stock price?
Yeah, so that was older news, two pieces of news, right? The news from, I think, a few weeks or a month ago was that Tesla bought $1.5 billion of Bitcoin for the balance sheet. Yeah, beginning of February. That was a while ago, 2 months ago. Yeah. And now we received news that they are accepting Bitcoin as payment for their cars. Now, I have a question. I know I did see your Twitter. I know you're not the biggest Tesla fan, but what's your favorite car in the world that you want to buy?
Oh, I just put a deposit on a Lambo. STO, Huracan STO.
Oh, nice. Okay. Did you buy, if you were allowed to buy that in Bitcoin, would you have?
I am going to buy it in Bitcoin. Yeah. Yeah.
You are going to buy it in Bitcoin.
Well, here, okay. I'm in a very unique situation. And the reason why I'm in a unique situation is because we have so many problems with banks. It actually would just be such a easier thing to do than the headache of trying to move that over to cash and buy it with cash, because we have so many problems with banks. A lot of people know, we talked about it a lot. I had a Coinbase wire that I sent, when I bought a house, into my BB&T account, and they shut down my accounts because of it. And they reported us as fraudulent to this thing called early warning signs. So now we have a lot of hard times opening bank accounts because of a Coinbase wire. So because of that, for me specifically, like, it makes sense to buy it with Bitcoin, but I understand if that's not true for the average person. And obviously,
I might be a more typical Bitcoin owner. So in my opinion, I was thinking about this and I tweeted about this. I'm not going to be buying, as much as I want to. I'm a big Tesla guy. Like, I owned a Model X. I'll probably be buying something. I'm not really sure exactly, from Tesla soon. And I have a lot in Bitcoin. Now, the problem is, as just a person who's busy, I don't want to have to deal with the headache of recording my transfer, because I basically, if I have capital gains, if I bought Bitcoin at 5,000 and now it's 50,000, and I buy one car with the 50,000, not only do I have to give them my Bitcoin, so that's 50,000 value, I have to record the transactions and the price of Bitcoin at that day, right? And the price of that car in US dollars, and file a specific filings with the IRS in my tax return that shows that transfer. And then I have to pay them, right, in my taxes, the capital gains tax. So I'm not going to be buying my Tesla with my Bitcoin. I'd rather just sell my Bitcoin in my Coinbase Pro brokerage. And that is the same stuff I give to my accountant for my taxes. And then I would use the cash to buy the Tesla. Now, I would imagine, and I see it a lot on crypto Twitter, that people don't like the big gut reaction is, I would never buy a depreciating asset with an appreciating asset, which, is, I think, is a very simple statement to make. Not completely the complete truth, but I think it's, on the face of it, right. But I also think it shows you that most Bitcoin owners think that Bitcoin is going way higher, so that they're not going to use their Bitcoin to buy Tesla. So all that to say is, I don't think Tesla's going to get much benefit from it. I think this is an Elon PR stunt.
Yeah. So I think you're probably right. I think they will obviously stack more Bitcoin. Like, I'll be honest with you, like, I don't even like Teslas, but I thought about buying one, like, just because, like, oh, I could do this. Like, it would be kind of cool. And we're always thinking about good content for the channel too. So that'd be good content for the channel. But, ultimately we decided not to do it. I always say with Teslas, like, if you just put a Kia logo on it instead of the Tesla logo, like, would people think they're cool? I don't know. I'm just saying. They're not my favorite car. No offense to Elon. We love Elon. Okay. For sure. But I'm just a sports car guy. I like my sports car to look like a sports car. I don't want it to look like a soccer mom SUV.
What do you think of the new Roadster?
It looks like an alien. So it looks a little too futuristic for me. Yeah, I'm not big on those curves. I like curves on a car, not the ones on that. I'm just, like I said, at the end of the day, I'm just not a Tesla guy. But no offense to Tesla. I like them as a company. Anybody that wants to, do it for all the, the automation reasons in the car, I get it. But I'm, and people will understand this because I'm obviously so incredibly good looking. I'm big on looks, so, so what do you think ultimately, like, do you think that's going to affect the price of the stock at all? I guess not, if you don't think they're going to bring in a lot.
I don't think so. They own a $1.5 billion on their balance sheet in Bitcoin. So if that doubles, right, then in value, then their stock will go up by $1.5 billion. But given the fact that Tesla right now is a multi-$100 billion company, over $600 billion company, then, that's not even 1% on stock price.
So let's do just a little lightning round here. Just first, a lot of people have asked me about this Roblox stock. Now we work with, some kind of gaming companies in the crypto space. I know Roblox is a big game. I know my kids have played it in the past. It went public. What has been your initial reaction to that? And do you think that is a good one people should look at?
Yeah. So, I wrote about this on the website, but here's kind of the analysis that I did. Roblox as a company seems to be really inflecting a lot, right? They grew daily active users by 81% in 2020. It's insane, right? They basically doubled their users in 2020. They grew revenues by 70% in 2020. And they have about a 38% gross profit margin. So for every dollar spent on the platform, they make 38 cents kind of from when your kids spend something and buy something on Roblox. But it's a long way from profitability. Like all these high growth stocks, they're very unprofitable. They spend a lot on R&D. I really like the fact that it's a platform as opposed to a game itself, because as we know, game developers are very up and down and very hit oriented, just like kind of movie developers, right? Like one year COD will do super well, Call of Duty, and they'll make a ton of money, but the next COD will be a flop.
Right.
So I really like that it's a platform where users are building games. And in that sense, they're building the YouTube of video games. Yeah. So people can create their own adventures on there. And I like that as an ecosystem. It can conceptually be to what mobile games for what YouTube is for us, video creators, what Substack is to newsletter writers, and what Patreons and OnlyFans are to other types of creators, right?
Yeah.
So, I think my initial concern for the business is what actually happens to playing time, user spend, and what happens to potential gamers once the pandemic's over, right? Where a lot of the vaccines are getting rolled out now. I can just see it every week by week, more and more people are out, cases are down. I think this thing's going to be broken. This pandemic's going to be broken, knock on wood, by mid-year.
Yeah.
When schools are all open, and we know that they have a lot of sub 12-year-old users.
That's a good point.
I mean, they're not going to be able to play video games as much, right? Right now, they're stuck at home, and the parents are just like, go play Roblox, just get out of my room, right? So I'm concerned about that as a headwind. Doing the valuation, I'd spread just a really quick valuation and assume that they keep up their growth for a year and then kind of slow down a bit. At $68 a share, kind of back of the envelope, they're trading at 23 times sales and 30 times forward gross profit, which is probably fair for a company like this, but it's a really high valuation. A lot of tech stocks still have the ability to keep falling. I don't know if you've seen the news, but tech stocks have really been hit in the mouth recently, and valuations have come down. So I think there are a couple things going against it, chiefly what happens to playing time after we come back from the pandemic. And two, it's just a very highly valued speculative growth stock. So I think that there are better growth stocks out there to buy.
Yeah, that's great analysis there. That's why you're the expert in this, and that's why we bring you on the channel, because I think what you just said makes perfect sense. And to all the audience, make sure you guys are subscribed to Justin's channel down in the description. But last question I want to ask you. We're building a stock portfolio right now. We haven't revealed it yet, but we're building one. What is one stock that you're looking at right now that might be a good one for me to add?
So the one that has come down quite a bit that everybody knows I buy, and all my stock picks are at acouplecents.com for supporters there. Right. But one of the largest ones that we have is Peloton. I think Peloton at about $100 has been smacked in the mouth recently, just like all the stay-at-home, high-growth tech names. Yeah. But at the core of it, this company was growing by leaps and bounds, doubling before the pandemic, and has now, through the pandemic, had a growth rate of over 100%. You're talking about they've reached 150% growth at points in 2020. There's so much demand for Pelotons that they can't even fulfill the orders. And they had to go buy one of the legacy, I don't know if you've heard of Precor. They make, like, if you go to a gym, there's like Precor treadmills or bikes, right? Like Precor is like kind of one of those legacy guys. And I think it's gotten a bad rap. I picked this stock for my channel. Like, you can go look at my channel. I have an old video with like 1,000 views on it, at $55 a share. And we rode that thing to like 150. We sold out of it. It's pulled back. And I think it's now time to load in again at 100, because the market generally thinks, we're going to sell out of all of our stay-at-home trades, like we talked about with Roblox, and go into the reopening trades and selling out of tech. But in fact, there's so much demand for Pelotons that this should be a $200 stock in the long term, right? Wow. One, they're growing at over 100%. Two, they're trading at like 10 times forward gross profit. So that's a third of the valuation that Roblox is. So you're getting it for 1/3 the price. And I would say it's unfair long-term to label Peloton a stay-at-home stock. If you know anybody that's in the upper middle class to like upper class bracket, everyone has a Peloton for their beach house, their second house, their first house. I have a Peloton. It's become a cult following, especially female-oriented cult following. Like my wife is on it all the time, and then she does these rides with everybody, and she doesn't really even like biking, right? It's like a cultural thing. They have the best content, and their economics they're like a software company. So once they infiltrate your home with a bike or a treadmill, you pay a subscription fee. So their economics are actually more like Netflix's than it is Tesla's. Exactly. Software as a service. They are more profitable and more software than like Tesla is right now. So
that's good.
And in order to believe what you need to believe is you don't need to believe that everybody gets a Peloton. You just have to believe that people like upper middle class and higher folks like Peloton. And they've been in 4 countries like Germany, UK, Canada, and the US. Like, you don't think that there are like rich people in Singapore, Hong Kong, like, I don't know, France that might want to Peloton? I think so, right? So just spreading all those numbers, and I have a full discounted cash flow model on it. And I think basically they're trading at about like low teens gross enterprise value gross profit. So, I put a stamp of $200 a share in the next 3 years.
Wow, that's really good. We own 2 Pelotons. One we bought near the beginning of the pandemic, and it's a bike. And then we recently bought the treadmill because I don't like to bike, but I would like to do a little bit of cardio. And so, the wife obviously uses it for the majority, and our kids, actually are going to be using the treadmill too. When it rains for weeks at a time, need to get them some energy out. And so I agree. I mean, I think that Peloton is a really good company. We have nothing but good things to say about it personally. So, that gives me the belief not only in the pick, but also in the product. And you're right. We ordered a Peloton treadmill last month, and it's not going to get here till like the end of May. That's how overbooked this thing is right now. So it makes sense to me that they're, buying up legacy products to try to help. And their customer support is great. They come right out, they fix anything. So definitely a good company, I think. So that's definitely one I think I'm going to add. I'm going to add it today, actually. So guys.
Yeah. So it's at $103 a share. Like, to me, this is, if you're willing to I invest on a 5 to 10 year view. So if you're willing to hold, and this is kind of a longer term portfolio, like, I think this is a $200 stock. So like, buy it as you will. I mean, maybe it doesn't provide the same upside as some like altcoin, but I mean, I don't laugh at a double, right?
Yeah, I know, right? Like, I'm sitting here thinking like 5 years for a 2X. Wow. Okay. All right. Hey, I got to hedge somewhere. I got to just jump in and do it. So crypto is definitely giving me some really odd expectations for sure. But
but Peloton's never going to be cut to $50 a share.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't have the volatility of the downside. So, Justin, as always, thank you for coming on the show today. You've been extremely helpful with these picks. I think your analysis is spot on. Enjoy doing these videos with you. I look forward to doing, many more on Fridays in the future. Anything you want to leave us with today?
No, absolutely. Thanks for watching. Thanks for having me on again. And we'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want more content, just investing across both stocks and crypto. I do less deeper in crypto, but do cover a lot from a macro view. Definitely check me out.
Yeah, definitely. You guys, video link will be, or his YouTube link will be down in the description. You guys drop some comments. Let me know what stocks you want us to look at on these Friday Stonks Day videos. That's all I got. Be blessed. Way out.